Katie, a suspected suicide bomber has killed at least a dozen people in Pakistan's capital. What do you know?
So, as you say, 12 confirmed dead so far, at least 27 injured. Now, we don't yet know the identity of the bomber and exactly which groups they were potentially operating with. We understand that they were planning to attack the district courthouse, but were unable to get inside. They arrived, waited about 15 minutes, and then apparently there was a very loud bang, complete chaos. There were reports, for example, plumes of smoke, cars being on fire. As I say, unable to yet identify who the bomber was, but the government has said that they will and that those involved would be brought to justice. Now, Pakistan's Prime Minister has said that the extremist groups involved were, to quote him, actively backed by India, basically saying that they were India's terrorist proxies. This has been firmly denied by India. They say, a spokesperson has said that they were baseless and unfounded allegations. So far, we're hearing local media reporting that a group associated with Pakistan's Taliban has claimed responsibility, but Pakistan's Taliban has apparently denied their involvement. Now, this comes after a separate incident earlier this week on Monday in India's capital, Delhi. There was another car that exploded there. 8 people were killed and a number of others injured. Now, this hasn't yet, it must be said, hasn't yet been labelled as a terrorist attack, but it has been referred to the country's anti-terror body.
And Katie, Japan's bear troubles are continuing, and there's been a surge in vehicle collisions in the country's northeast. What, are the bears wobbling onto the roads?
Well, by all accounts, they're basically everywhere. There's been huge sightings of them. About 20,000 were sighted during a 6-month period earlier this year. There were about 120 different collisions in the year up until October in this one prefecture in northeastern Japan, in the Ataka prefecture. That was 5 times the number in all of last year. There was 66 in October alone. So it is quite insane. As I say, many sightings. We're even hearing about the government having to mobilise extra resources like hunters, troops and campaigns in response. A number of people, about 13 or so, have died from being attacked. Now, the interesting part about all this is why. Part of it is due to food shortages. So there was bad acorn, beech nut and salmon years, and so the bears are having to roam through towns before they hibernate looking for food. A large element as well is that there has been conservation efforts in recent years, better protection measures, and as a result we are seeing the bear population get bigger and recover. And the other element as well, of course, Japan, like many countries, facing depopulation in the rural areas, people moving to the cities, land abandoned, and so they're having to travel. Bears are having to travel further into more widely populated areas in search of food.
And Japan is looking to beef up its anti-stalking laws. Now, this is interesting. They're looking at restricting the use of Bluetooth tags. This, I assume, is to track people's whereabouts, is it, Katie?
Yeah, so Japan looked at these laws and revised them back in 2021. And at the time, they said that GPS devices couldn't be used. But that was, of course, before the big rise of the likes of AirTags and other kind of cheaper imitations from the likes of Shein and Temu, where you can buy them very cheaply. And they are being used as stalking devices. So the numbers, for example, in Japan, we're seeing it almost double year on year since 2023. And so, as I say, because of the wide accessibility of these AirTags or these tagging devices, they have now introduced this reform to try and close that legal gap. The other element as well of this is that they're now saying that police can intervene without waiting for any stalking issue, without waiting for the person being stalked to revise it. And it's going to help when it comes to targeting stalking in domestic violence cases as well, Lisa.
Thank you, Katie. That is our Asia correspondent, Katie Silver.